Okay, so let's begin. So, welcome to the part-time MSc Virtual Open Day for the Engineering Business Leadership MSc. We've done this virtually because obviously with people who are interested in this program, they're very often working and employed, and it can be difficult to get time out of the business to come to the university. So we've done it virtually today, but hopefully it's a useful and informative exercise. So just to talk you through what we're going to do, just progressing my slide onto the next slide. So before I just talk through the agenda, just a few housekeeping things to make you aware of. So we are recording the session, so please be aware it's being recorded. This means that you can review it later. If there's things that you maybe missed or you want to share it with colleagues, you can show them what you can show them recording and see what was discussed. We on the panel, there's a group of us that are going to speak today. We can't see you. Obviously, you can see and hear us, but we can't see and hear you. So just to make you aware of that. So if you're trying to raise a question verbally, we won't be able to hear you. However, you can interact with us via the chat room function. So if you've got a question, just type it into the chat room function. And if I spot it while we're doing the presentation, we can maybe answer it during the presentation. But if we don't spot it, we will allow some time at the end to come back to the questions. So don't worry, we will pick up all the questions, but just enter them into the chat function. So hopefully it will be useful. Hopefully it will be enjoyable, and hopefully you'll get all the answers you want from today's session. So just in terms of who we've got presenting today. So my name's Gareth Taylor. I work at WMG at the University of Warwick, and I'm the Director of Administration for Part-Time Education. We're also joined by my colleague Katie Anglis, who's actually our course leader for the Engineering Business Leadership Programme. So she's going to take you through some of the more specific details to do with the course. And then we've got Ragvinder Sarana, who's our Programme Administrator. And we're very fortunate because we've got a current part-time participant with us, Pravia, who's going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be on the programme. So just progressing to the next slide. So just before we talk about the programme, I don't know whether people will be aware of the University of Warwick and the department that we're in, WMG, but I've just got a few words to say about the university. So the university was founded in 1965, so it's quite a new university. It's about 50 years, just over 50 years old, but it's quite highly ranked. It's a research-led university, but it has very strong collaborations with industry. We have about 28,000 students and about 7,000 members of staff. Just progressing my slides. So WMG is an interdisciplinary department within the university. We have lots of international collaborations and programs, and we have lots of different research themes and groups, and we have lots of industrial collaborations as well. So I think, Katie, I'm going to hand over to you, if that's okay, to talk about the programme.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth. Hopefully you're all able to see me. So I'm Katie Anglis, as Gareth said. I'm part of the academic staff here at Warwick in WMG, and also I'm course lead as part of my role for the Engineering Business Leadership course. So why study Engineering Business Leadership at Warwick? Here's a short agenda of what I'm going to go through today. I'll talk about some of the key information, so some of the timescales, some of the benefits of studying at Warwick, and then talk a bit about the teaching and learning, how that is structured, how that might work, to give you a flavour of how your learning might be at Warwick. And then more specifically, the modules, so the courses within this program that you would study. And then summing up, just thinking about, is this course right for you? Is Warwick right for you? Is WMG and the Engineering Business Leadership? So to go back to the start of this agenda and moving on to the slide of why study Engineering Business Leadership. Well, this course was developed together with industry, understanding the needs both now and in the future. So some of the employer benefits are there's an immediate application in the workplace. And this will hopefully help take the organisation into new thinking and develop that collaboration between employers and those students working and studying on the course. So what do you personally benefit from the course? Well, if you might be a technical maybe in an engineering role or even in a technical lead role, you might be thinking about your next career move into a management or leadership role, and this course would work for you. But also, there's different reasons why you might want to study and work on this course. And one particular thing, as I've mentioned, is the applied learning. So the modules, the courses have post-module assignments, and you will be working on your organisation or industry assessment of some kind of scenario. So there's instant applied learning there, and there is some work-based learning. We've also tried to structure the course so there is flexibility in the schedule. So hopefully this will help both yourselves and your employer managing your time, scheduling your time, and I'll talk a bit more about that in a moment. The teaching is that word hybrid, face-to-face teaching and online. It is predominantly face-to-face now, that interaction with both speakers, lecturers, guest speakers, but also with networking amongst yourselves, learning from each other with your cohort. Together you can build up some groups there that can help you, perhaps not just on this course, but in the future with that networking. So as Warwick and as WMG, there are experienced tutors for each of the topic areas, and we also certainly look to industry experts that can broaden your horizon, perhaps in that applied work environment. And you can also, as part of the course, work towards accreditation, but it will depend on your personal experience and your personal needs. You might want to move towards the management and look at accreditation with the CMI, so the Chartered Management Institute, or you might want to look at becoming a chartered engineer and look at the IET, the Institutes of Engineering and Technology, or the IMechE, dependent on your preferences. And you can do this and use this master's MSc course as part of that. Okay, I'll continue on, and I'm sure the questions will be picked up at the end. So that's why study. So some of the structure of the course now. So it is a 3-year part-time course, and there are 4 modules per year for the first 2 years. And if you complete those 8 modules, then that will give you your PG dip. So you can do a PG dip across the 2 years. And then for the full MSc, you have the 60 credit project dissertation, and that will be work-based, relevant to your interests, perhaps in your job role or perhaps in a future job role. That's your choice then. So there is also then at the start of the course, so in September, mid-September, there is a 2-day induction, and that will be on site at Warwick. And then towards the end of the second year, thinking about that project, there is a 2-day online research methodology workshop, and that gets you started on thinking about and getting going on your project. So if you're going to start this year, that would be mid-September, and then your first year core modules would be 4 weeks out of the business throughout the year. So you're able to plan that with your employer. So each of the modules is 15 credits, so you get up to a total of 120 credits. And there are 5 core modules and 3 elective modules. So you tend to do the core modules first and then choose your electives. So to talk firstly, before I talk more about the modules, to talk about the teaching and learning. So it is classroom based. There is some online learning, such as the 2-day for the talking about the project, the research methodology, but it is predominantly in the classroom. Your third year project then is independent work with your supervisors. So you'll be able to arrange a supervisor that you can work with, and then you arrange your own schedule around that, whether you prefer to meet online or face-to-face, and at what intervals. And for the modules, for the 8 modules, there is typically an assignment that's handed in 6 weeks after the module, and that will be a significant proportion of the mark, and tend to be written assignments and are based on work-related scenarios. So dependent on the topic area, you'll be looking, perhaps investigating, perhaps researching a particular scenario for that topic area that relates to your work, maybe talking about how there might be some improvements. So this course should give you some new perspectives, some innovative thinking, fresh ideas, both from the module and from working with others on the course, and then you're applying that to the assignment. There's also typically some in-module assessment work. So that might be some group work, that might be some presentations, it could be some case studies. That will depend on the module, and you'll be given that information just before you start the module. There might be some pre-work on the module that you also need to complete. So if you do decide to start, keep an eye out for that information. So the core modules, and I'm going to start with strategic business management because that's the first one you're likely to complete, and that in this year is tentatively planned for the end of September, beginning of October. So you would be looking at business strategy, linking all the corporate areas of the business with your technical areas, thinking about structures of the business. Then you'll move into intelligent organizations, and that's provisionally around about December. And that will then build on that strategic business management, looking at how organizations function, and then looking at, followed on by supply chain and operations management, typically a core area of the business operations and also supply chain, whether that's your external or internal supply chain. So looking at that. And as part of some of these modules, there are simulation exercises and classroom exercises that you can get involved with as well. And each of these modules are designed both to cater for what the industrial needs are, also to think about what the fundamentals are of that topic area, the key elements you will want to learn and think about, but then also those latest thinking, the movement into digitalization. AI is a key area that everybody's talking about now. How's AI going to affect the business in the future? How might it affect your role? And how might it work with, for example, the supply chain and operations management? So it's the future thinking teamed with the core learning. So the other ones I haven't mentioned yet are people in organizations, PIO. So you can't manage without the people in your business. So thinking about those issues, HR issues as well, touching on. And then the final module is accounting and finance for management. So again, a core topic in that management and leadership role for both business and the technical areas. So supply chain and operations management is provisionally February next year. PIO is provisionally May next year, and finance is provisionally September next year. So you can see how we've structured the course to try and make it manageable around your work, that you're at Warwick for 8 weeks within the 2 years. Now, there is some flexibility within that, but I really would recommend to try and keep to those schedules, even if you might need to move your post-module assignments around, because it does help you not to overlap and be too overloaded in any particular areas of the course. It'll keep you with your cohort and keep you hopefully one of the building blocks to successfully completing the course. It is a challenging, I'm not going to say it isn't a challenging course, but hopefully it's in a good way. It challenges your thinking, but also enables you to develop your skills and knowledge and hopefully accelerate your career into that leadership or management or area or the technical area you would like to go, or other business areas. So what are the key learning objectives for engineering business leadership? Well, it's about understanding the business relationships, the structures there, the people, also applying problem solving and decision making. So at this MSc level, it's thinking around what research has been done, how is this different, what is my gap in knowledge that I might need to think about, and how do I solve the problem that we might have more specifically in our business now in developing our business for the future, and also they're key in decision making. So it's about how do you lead and influence teams. So for the optional modules, there's also the personal leadership. I think I might have just, yes, there, just going back to these. So optional modules there, I've talked about their personal leadership and influencing change. So then with the 3 optional modules, you can choose to move more into that leadership, leading change, for example, as well as personal leadership modules. Or if you want to go more into technology, you can do technology management. Or if you're thinking about business, perhaps change management as well, there's the project management course, project planning, management and control, and then there's also innovation. So you'll have some choices there about the optional modules once you've done those core modules. There is also negotiated learning, which is slightly different as a module as well. But we'll talk more about that perhaps with the induction. So going back to the learning objectives, it's about there, the fourth one down then after leadership and thinking about the business. It's about how you make improvements and applying that learning in your business environment to help the business and also help your career in the process. So it's instilling the theory into practice with the assignments, with thinking about the module learning and about any in-module work and any work-based learning. So that's the course, probably an overview at this point, but is the course right for you? So there may be, as I said, different reasons why you might be thinking about the course. You might be personally thinking about the course, perhaps to increase your contribution to the business, finding out how to make improvements in your part of the organisation. You might be wanting to move your career forwards, or you might be looking at this course as an employer, thinking, do I have some of those that have experience already in the business, who perhaps have experience in a technical or perhaps even a non-technical area, and want to move forward and do this engineering business leadership, moving more into management and leadership. Or you might be wanting to get accreditation from the CMI or from the IET or IMechE for chartered engineer or chartered manager, and you can do that as part of this course for becoming accredited. Accreditation is ongoing for this course as it needs to be while we are running. So that's is this course right for you? You do need, I don't know whether I'm stealing here Raggie's thunder, but you do need to be employed for the course. You will be working with your employer. But if you are thinking about your background, your experience, then all I would say is please come and talk to us, come and talk to the team about whether this course is right for you. And then hopefully, if you do start in September this year, then around about 3 years after that, hopefully you'll be successfully graduating from a top 10 university with a broad-ranging postgraduate education, with the knowledge and skills to develop your career, and also having benefited and hopefully taking forwards strong links with WMGs, perhaps to the research groups, perhaps to get guest lectures, perhaps others that you've met on your course. So hopefully the course is of interest, and don't just take my word for it, because hopefully we have here a Pravir, a current student, to tell you a bit more.
Yes, hi. Can we all hear me fine? I think it's just checking. Okay, great. Yeah, so I think the best way I'll start, I'll just give you a quick introduction about myself. Then I'll run you through why I chose to do this course, and I'll end off by just giving you a quick, a quick glimpse of a week that I've been a week ahead during one of the modules. So yes, my name is Pravir. I'm a manufacturing engineer in a company called Grundfos. We manufacture water pumps. I read chemical engineering as my undergraduate degree, but I do more manufacturing of mechanical and electrical work. I'm currently based in Singapore, so I do fly in every time to for every module to the UK to do it. I've been in the industry for about 3 years now, and I have a bit more experience than that. So the reasons why I did this course is at this stage of my career, I'm building up towards moving up to being a manufacturing manager or plant manager sort of roles. And my current role involves me being very technical And I think this course really gives you the business acumen that you need to function in a higher level, more macro role. So I think a bit of a week. Let me just run you through a week of, because I've done about 3 modules now, just finished the last one a couple of weeks ago. So you go in on Monday. I can assure you, you're not just sitting down from 8:30 through 6, just listening to a lecture. The module leaders put in quite a bit of effort to make sure you get a varied learning experience. There are lectures, yes, but that is always peppered in with a lot of group activities, case studies, and I think one of the best parts about it is there's always expert guest lecturers that come in, give master classes, and it's a good opportunity to network and learn very relevant information about certain industries. Run it through the week, doing case studies, very different from a work project because you get people from very diverse backgrounds. So eventually when you come up with a presentation on a Friday, you give a presentation that is not so narrow-minded, very holistic, very different viewpoints from very different industries and different backgrounds of people. And then I fly back to Singapore, and on Monday when I reach work, it's time to start working on my post-module assessment, which is something that I think is very good because it's not just 5 days of learning something. The minute I hit back on a Monday, I start applying what I learned immediately at work. So like, for example, the strategy module, something quite far-fetched from what my current job scope is. But going on a Monday, I have to start talking to my supervisors, start talking from people away from operations department, people from sales and marketing, start finding out. It gives you opportunities to find out more about other functions in the business as well. And you work on that for 6 weeks, really solidifying the knowledge that you gained. So I think, just to quickly summarize, it kind of validates your current skills, because a lot of, for me coming from a technical background, doing operations and supply chains management kind of is something I'm very familiar with, but now it gives me an academic backing to that knowledge. And it also fills in all the gaps that I have in my business knowledge, coming up, I think towards the end of the year, I'll be doing accounting in business and strategy and intelligent organizations are things that I don't really deal with at work, but now have confident enough to say I have a decent understanding of it. But I think most importantly, the best part about the courses that I've done so far are the coursemates that you meet. Gives you great opportunities to network, great people that you meet. They're very supportive of your work, gives you much better ideas to apply what they have done in their work to your workplace. And of course, they're very, very nice people. So I think that's a cherry on top of doing the course. But yeah, I guess that summarizes my experience, and I highly recommend you guys to consider this course. And it's been very fruitful, even though I've just enrolled in September and done 3 courses. It's already have shown a lot of gains in different aspects of my career, especially. So yes, I think that's all from me.
That's great. Thank you very much, Pravir. That's brilliant. And thank you, Katie, beforehand for a very comprehensive overview of the program. There was one slide which I actually missed, so apologies for that. There was a slide that was a little bit earlier that just links a little bit to what Pravir is saying. So I'm just going to go back to revisit that slide, because one of the main concerns for people joining this particular course is that they haven't studied for a long time. And that can be a real worry for people coming back into education. But don't worry, because everybody is in a similar situation to you. People who join the course tend to have been working in industry, some people for a long time, some people for a short period of time. But either way, they haven't been studying and they haven't been writing assignments for at least a couple of years, in some cases a lot longer. We're used to dealing with this, and a lot of the courses around application, as Katie was saying. And so our staff are very experienced at helping people who haven't written academically for a while to kind of develop that style of writing. And it is much more about the application and the evaluation and the discussion of knowledge than it is a highly theoretical course. In addition to that, we have some events which are aimed at helping people. So we have study skills events where we talk you through in a lot of detail about academic writing styles and things like that. and we have other support pages and facilities available within the university to help people who are writing assignments for the first time after quite some time. So apologies, I missed that slide, but I thought it was quite appropriate for us to revisit that slide now, given what Prithvi has said and on the back of what Katie has said. So I'm just going to move forward again back to where we got to in terms of the slides, and then hand over to Raggy just to say one or two words about the application process.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us, and I do appreciate Praveer's time, and his feedback was wonderful to hear. As we've stated in some of the slides, and we've touched on basis that if you're joining us on the master's programme, we'd like you to have a degree and at least 3 years experience in industry. It's just because the assignments are work related, so what you learn you apply back to work. So again, one of the necessary parts is that you're employed in the relevant area. The other part is if you haven't got a degree, but you've got enough experience in industry, you can take the route through a postgraduate diploma, which is the 2-year programme. But as soon as you finish your first 4 modules, we can transfer you up to the master's. What we really need from you at the start is that you submit your CV, and then we read it and come back to you and tell you whether the course is suitable for you. If we feel we need to meet you or discuss it further, we will let you know when we can make those arrangements, either via Teams or you can come and look at our facilities and do a face-to-face. There's 2 application links, and obviously because there's so many courses at the university, it's easier that I send you the application link so that you apply for the correct course. And again, that's done once we know that you meet our entry requirements and you're suitable. Once that's done, the reason there's a deadline on 9th of August is there's quite a few supporting documents you need to submit with your application. So the one that takes the longest is your references. You put information on references, and they can take up to 2 to 3 weeks before they come through. And also, by the time we've sent you an offer letter, you've got to go online and enrol before induction. So there is quite a few steps to go through before you start the induction day. Hopefully, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us on that email address we've provided, the wmgptmasters@warwick.ac.uk. We'd be really happy to answer any questions. And I hope you can join us. I'll hand back over to Gareth. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Raggy. As promised, we'll deal with the questions that have come into the chat. So we had a question earlier on about whether the course was worth taking if you'd already got an undergraduate degree, in this case an MEng, from previous study. And so I did reply to that message, but it is worthwhile. There's lots of people in a similar situation, but the focus of the course is slightly different. So as Katie was talking about, the course is really aimed at people who are in business, who are managing teams, working in big teams of technical people. It's really about applying the knowledge into that practical environment and learning from that application about how to do things better in the business world, solving problems, all of that kind of thing, in a very methodical and structured and well underpinned way, using the academic frameworks and thinking. So it's not going to be developing more engineering technical knowledge. You do some sort of more broad business management, I know, in undergraduate engineering courses, but it's really about that application and developing people within the business that's critical. And there'll be a lot of people in a similar situation who are embarking on this course because they are also trying to do a similar sort of thing. They've got teams of people that are working for them, for instance. They're moving maybe from a technical into a managerial role, into a more of a leadership role. So it's really aimed at people making that transition. So that was one question. It says, what is the average age of the batch? And do you have any alumni from pure IT backgrounds? So there's quite a spread, actually. We get people in their 20s and 30s doing the course. That tends to be the typical age range, from people sort of mid 20s all the way through into their late 30s. We do occasionally have people older than that. So it's not unknown for us to get people in their 40s, and we've even had people in their 50s. So it's quite a wide range of ages, but predominantly it tends to be people in that kind of late 20s and 30s age range. Pure IT backgrounds, we have had, not on this particular program, but from the previous version of it, we have had people who have come from more IT orientated organizations, and they've tended to be people who maybe opt to take more of a project management in terms of their options and things like that. So yes, we've got people from all sorts of different organizations. We have people from Network Rail, from Rolls-Royce, places like that, but we've also had people from all sorts of other organizations as well. Some people from pharmaceutical sector, agrochemical sector. So a very, very broad range of different organizations. So there's a question about balancing work commitments alongside study. So this is always very difficult, because you've got, particularly with people who've been in business for a while, they will also have families and all of those commitments to balance. So there's family, there's work, and then there's study, all three. The course is designed such that it's quite well spread out. So you're only doing one module per quarter approximately. You've got plenty of time in terms of doing the assignment. You've got several weeks afterwards. It's either 6 or 8 weeks. Apologies, I can't remember whether it's 6 or 8, but you get a good few weeks to do the assignment afterwards. And so it's set such that you don't have to work intensely, but you do have to do a bit of work each week to keep on top of things in terms of writing the assignment. There are mechanisms in place as well that we have to support part-time staff, so part-time students rather. For instance, you can have extension periods, you can have suspension from study if some event overtakes you. For instance, you've been sent off to travel overseas for business and you're going to be away for a while, or if life events overtake you, such as maternity leave as an example. There are mechanisms in place in order to help you navigate your way through the program, and we're very, very used to dealing with people who are in those kinds of roles where they've got all of these different balances, and we're always here to help and talk you through different options that are available to you. So there's lots of things you can do from that point of view. What is the main difference between the postgraduate diploma and the master's? Well, the postgraduate diploma, so there's, as Katie was saying, you have to do 8 modules, which makes up the diploma element. So the modules really form, the diploma is formed of the taught part of the program, the 8 modules and the assignments associated with those 8 modules. And then the difference between the diploma and the MSc is doing the project, the MSc project. So that's the main difference. And so you do that project as almost a top up to the MSc. But most people start the MSc outright. Their ambition is to get the MSc, so they enroll on the MSc. But sometimes the diploma can be useful if you want to build your way up to the MSc. Okay, so just checking back on the questions. I think those are all the main questions, unless there's any others that anybody puts in. But so as I said at the beginning, the recording for the session will be available for you to review. Obviously, you've got the contact details for us in terms of Raggie's contact details as she deals with the application process. And so if you have any questions after the event, please feel free to come back to us and we'll be able to to answer those and hopefully give you some more information. But we hope, fingers crossed, that you'll be joining us and we'll see you face to face later in the year in September when we have the induction. So thank you very much for joining the event. Excuse me, and we hopefully will see you in September.